In 2025, Germany claims it is finally ready for a Russia contingency, meeting NATO's 2% benchmark and preparing its first frontline armored brigade for Lithuania. But beneath the headline, official data reveal tight deadlines, untested plans, and critical gaps in equipment and personnel. Is Germany's readiness for Russia only on paper, or can it hold the line if tested? The answer begins with how ready really gets defined. In 2025, Germany's approach to military readiness is defined by a set of formal standards, tracked by the Bundeswehr and reported to both the Bundestag and NATO. The Ministry of Defense measures readiness, Einsatzbereitschaft, by a unit's ability to perform NATO-assigned tasks at short notice, using specific criteria for personnel, equipment, ammunition, and deployment speed. These standards are codified in annual reports, providing a clear baseline for alliance certification. Readiness covers four main areas: personnel, equipment, ammunition, and rapid deployment. Personnel readiness is measured by the percentage of posts filled with qualified, fully trained soldiers. The Bundeswehr fields just over 182,000 active duty troops, aiming for at least 95% deployability in high readiness units. Equipment readiness is tracked by the share of major systems: Leopard 2 tanks, Puma infantry vehicles, Eurofighter jets, that are not only present but fully operational and crewed. For frontline units, the target is at least 80% operational availability. Ammunition stocks are measured by the number of days of high-intensity combat they can support. NATO's updated standard now requires a 30-day supply for key munitions, a goal Germany is still working toward, after some categories fell below 10 days as recently as 2022. Rapid deployment is another critical benchmark. Units assigned to NATO's Very High Readiness Joint Task Force must be ready to move within 2 to 7 days, with full brigade deployments expected within 10 to 30 days. These metrics are integrated into a traffic light system: green for over 70 to 80% readiness, yellow for restricted use, red for non-deployable units. Annual reports still flag shortfalls, especially in helicopters, armored vehicles, and ammunition. Gaps in personnel and qualification rates persist, with recruitment and training underway to close them. The Zeitenwende, or turning point, announced by Chancellor Scholz in 2022, marked a fundamental shift. A €100 billion special fund and a pledge to meet NATO's 2% of GDP defense spending benchmark, finally achieved in 2024, set the stage for modernization and capability reviews. Germany's frontline commitment to NATO's eastern flank is defined by the permanent deployment of the 45th Armored Brigade to Lithuania. The brigade officially activates in the second quarter of 2025, forming the core of NATO's forward deterrence near the Suwałki Corridor, a strategic land bridge between Poland and Lithuania. The initial phase involves assembling command elements and support companies in Germany, followed by phased relocation of battalions and logistics units to Lithuania throughout 2025 and 2026. The brigade structure consists of 3 maneuver battalions, supported by artillery, engineers, signals, and logistics detachments. Each battalion is equipped with Leopard 2 main battle tanks and Puma infantry fighting vehicles, with additional support from self-propelled artillery and air defense platoons. Preposition stocks, including ammunition and spare parts, are staged at logistics hubs in Lithuania to enable rapid reinforcement and sustainment. Relocation is organized in waves, with the 1st Battalion and headquarters elements arriving in Lithuania by late 2025. The remaining battalions follow through 2026, integrating with Lithuanian and NATO forces during multinational exercises such as Quadriga 2025 and Thunderstrike. These exercises test the brigade's ability to deploy, maneuver, and operate alongside Allied units under realistic combat conditions. Full operational capability is targeted for 2027. By this date, the brigade must be fully manned, equipped, and certified to NATO standards, able to conduct independent and joint operations on short notice. The timeline reflects both the logistical complexity of moving heavy armored units across Europe and the ongoing construction of new facilities in Lithuania, including barracks, maintenance depots, and training ranges. This deployment represents Germany's most concrete frontline pledge since reunification. It requires close coordination between Bundeswehr logistics, German rail and road authorities, and host nation support in Lithuania. The brigade's activation and forward positioning set the foundation for later assessments of equipment readiness, personnel sufficiency, and the ability to surge reinforcements in a crisis. Germany enters 2025 with an active duty military of about 180,000 personnel, well short of the government's stated goal of 260,000 by the early 2030s. The gap is widely recognized as a core limiting factor for force expansion, especially as new units and forward deployments come online. To address this, the Bundestag is debating a voluntary service bill scheduled for a vote in August 2025. 5. With provisions for incentive-based enlistment and, as a fallback, a controversial lottery system for partial conscription. Deliberations in October have already exposed coalition divisions, with disagreements over whether the lottery should be binding or voluntary. On the equipment side, Germany maintains a fleet of approximately 310 Leopard 2 main battle tanks, many of which are earmarked for the Lithuania brigade and other high readiness formations. A procurement contract for 105 Leopard 2A8 tanks is in place, but deliveries will extend through 2030, reflecting industry production constraints and high demand. Operational availability is being improved through the use of rotating engine reserves, a measure designed to keep more tanks deployable at any given time. Nevertheless, readiness rates fluctuate, and the challenge of maintaining high operational percentages persists. The Bundeswehr's mechanized infantry relies on both the Puma and Legacy Marder infantry fighting vehicles. The Puma, after high-profile failures during 2022 exercises, has undergone extensive upgrades and reliability trials. Live fire tests in early 2005 showed progress, but after-action reports continued to cite issues, particularly with subsystem electronics. Many units remain dependent on the older Marder platform until Puma fleet reliability can be assured. These factors define the current state of Germany's ground force readiness, shaping the foundation for air, industry, and logistics assessments to follow. Germany's air power transition centers on the arrival of the F-35A Lightning II, with 35 to 50 aircraft scheduled for delivery between 2026 and 2027. The first jets are due at Buchel Air Base, where infrastructure upgrades are underway to accommodate stealth operations and nuclear sharing requirements. The Ministry of Defense projects initial operational capability for the F-35 fleet by 2028, replacing the aging Tornado and ensuring continued NATO interoperability for strike and deterrence missions. Alongside the F-35 program, the Luftwaffe is expanding its layered air and missile defense. Patriot batteries remain the backbone of high-altitude protection, with additional units fielded to cover critical infrastructure and logistics corridors. The integration of IRIS-TSLM systems adds a mobile medium-range layer, procured jointly with Switzerland and designed to counter cruise missiles and UAVs. In June 2025, the German Navy conducted its first live fire test of the navalized IRIS-T system aboard the frigate Baden-Württemberg. The test achieved a partial intercept, with one target drone destroyed and a second missed due to electronic countermeasure interference. Official reports attribute the anomaly to a software-level gap in the missile's electronic countermeasures, prompting a targeted software patch and follow-up trials scheduled for late 2025. These investments in strike and shield capabilities are intended to ensure both airborne deterrence and the survivability of forward-deployed forces. The transition places new demands on logistics and industry, as Germany adapts to the technical and operational standards required for modern air dominance and missile defense. Rheinmetall's Unterlüß plant is running multiple shifts to meet the surge in 155mm artillery shell orders, with a target output of 1.1 million shells per year by 2027. The €8.5 billion contract, the largest in the company's history, underpins Germany's effort to reach NATO's 30-day ammunition reserve standard after years of shortfall. Production is supported by new facilities in Hungary, Spain, and Bulgaria, but bottlenecks persist. Environmental permits, skilled labor shortages, and supply constraints for energetics and electronics slow expansion. Strategic mobility hinges on both air and rail. 60 CH-47F Chinook heavy-lift helicopters are on order, with deliveries beginning in late 2026. These aircraft will restore the Bundeswehr's ability to move artillery, vehicles, and supplies rapidly across the continent, filling a gap left since the retirement of the CH-53G. On the ground, Deutsche Bahn planners face axle load and gauge limits on key eastbound rail corridors. Many bridges and tunnels cannot support the weight of main battle tanks, forcing detours and limiting convoy size. The switch from standard to broad gauge at the Polish-Lithuanian border adds further delay. NATO's Quadriga 2025 exercise tested these logistics chains, moving over 8,000 German troops and more than 1,000 vehicles to Lithuania. Reports from the exercise cite delays due to wagon shortages, infrastructure bottlenecks, and regulatory hurdles. To address these, Germany has expanded preposition stocks at key nodes and invested in rapid repair units for damaged rail lines. Fiscal support comes from the €100 billion Sondervermögen Fund, but auditors warn that without sustained increases beyond 2026, industry may struggle to maintain output and modernization. The readiness of Germany's industrial base, mobility assets, and alliance logistics nodes will determine whether the Bundeswehr can sustain multi-month operations on NATO's eastern flank. In 2024, Germany meets the NATO 2% defense spending benchmark for the first time since the Cold War. The Bundeswehr is set to activate the 45th Armored Brigade for Lithuania by the second quarter of 2025, aiming for full operational capability in 2027. Personnel numbers stand at 180,000, still short of the 260,000 target. Over 310 Leopard 2 tanks are in service, with 105 A8 models on order, and the first F-35 jets expected in 2026 to 27, though initial operational capability is not projected until 2028. Ammunition production is expanding, targeting 1.1 million 155mm shells annually by 2027. Yet, unresolved issues remain. Rail infrastructure bottlenecks, the outcome of pending service legislation, and classified details on air defense gaps. Archived Bundeswehr documents confirm significant progress since 2022, but full readiness against a major Russia contingency is still a work in progress. As of 2025, Germany's deterrence posture is stronger, but the full test of its reforms and capabilities lies ahead.